Hey guys, it's Essie, and this is the January wrap-up. The month of January of 2015, I've read 7 books, which doesn't seem much. I feel like I could have read more, but I didn't. The first book I read in January was Heaven is for Real by Todd Burpo. It's about this boy that has an illness, or they're trying to figure out what he has because he's so sick. And he goes to the hospital for surgery, and during the surgery, he goes to heaven and meets God. And basically, it's about his parents, asking him what he's seen in heaven, and if it's actually true or not to how he saw it. And every part what he was saying of how he saw heaven was basically how the Bible said it, and he's 5? So, and he hasn't read the Bible yet. He just knows stories, like Sunday school stories. And they never really talked to him about the details of heaven. Every detail he said about God, they never really talked about before. So, when Colton is telling his mom and dad about what he witnessed or saw when he was during surgery and he was in heaven, his parents are astonished, what's happening? What did he experience? So that is what this book is about, and I do recommend it if you are wanting to read this or are curious or interested in the story. It's really good. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I'm not sure, but it is a good book. The next book is also about a guy with a near-death experience in his trip to heaven, and it's called 90 Minutes in Heaven by Don Piper. The story of this guy when he was in a car crash and when he was all mangled, and he was mangled. His leg was basically, they probably should have amputated it, but they didn't, and his arm was hanging on by one attachment. He was talking about his 90 minutes in heaven and then coming back to it because his friend, which he didn't know was his friend at the time, but it was a pastor, and the pastor didn't even know it was his friend too. He just was praying for the guy in the car accident because he got into the back of the car where there was an opening and put his hand on his shoulder and started praying. And after him talking about his 90 minutes in heaven, after he talked about his 90 minutes in heaven, he's talking about his recovery at the hospital with his leg because they put a fixator on it to grow his bone. That there's a large chunk of his bone that was missing from the accident, so they're trying to grow his bone back by this fixator. So during that, he gets really depressed and he gets really grouchy at people who are visiting him from his church. So it goes on about his recovery and then him helping other people also going through the time that they have with the fixator and what happened to them. And then he goes and tells people his story at churches and stuff, and he just keeps on helping people who are in the situation with the fixator of what he went through. He's just helping them and talking to them to get through it. And so basically, that's really all about this book, and wasn't that great, I have to say. It was just I feel like it was lingering a little bit in areas where it's okay, we get it. You're helping other people recover. It's nice to hear those other stories, but that's not really the main part of it. But it is his life. The book is about his life, so I guess that is true. But it was kind of boring towards the ending, where he was in recovery, and then after his recovery, there's a story of him helping someone else with a fixator, and I feel like they could have stopped at that point, but they kept going on, and it just got really boring and just not interesting. But I persevered and I got through it. But don't recommend this to anybody if they're wanting to read a near-death experience or a near-death experience to where he visits heaven and tells a story. If you're looking for a book that's like that, I don't recommend this. My next book I read in January has nothing to do with a person's near-death experience in heaven. It is Insurgent. Not even close to those other 2 books. But I hope I don't have to explain this to you guys. So I hope you know what it is. It's coming out March 20th, I think. So yeah, if you don't know what the book is about or the series is, But I gave this a 4, I think. 4, either 4 or 5 stars on Goodreads. But I did like it, but Trish kind of annoyed me a little bit because she wasn't as like the hero she was, or she wasn't that brave anymore. That brave in this book. Like, I still liked it. I hope that the movie is similar to the book, but it probably won't be. It's a Hollywood film. But yeah, I did like this book, and I do recommend it. It's a sequel of a series, so yeah, just keep on reading the series. My next book I read in January, which probably should be no surprise to the last book I just showed you, and it's Allegiant. Allegiant is the last book in the Divergent series by Veronica Roth, and again, I'm not going to explain this book because you guys should probably know what it's about already. I like this book to end this series. It was good, but it just makes me like sad because it's the last book in this series. It's like the ending. It's sad because I want Divergent to go on. But you can't always get what you want. But yeah, I like this for the ending book, and I think I gave it 5 stars. And Trish, she came back to herself in this book. She is not freezing every once in a while and scared of a gun. She's actually herself again in this book, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you. She's actually herself again. So this book I think is good as ending the whole series. My next book, you're probably gonna get tired of hearing me saying that, but I'm gonna say it again. My next book I read in January was one that I already did a review on this channel, and it's called The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. And for this book, I'm not gonna tell you what it's about because I did a review on it, and the review will be in the description box below. If you are interested in watching it, or if you want to know what this book is about and you want to know what my opinion on it, go watch that video. I think I gave it 5 stars, I'm pretty sure. Check on my Goodreads in the description box below. And my next book I read in January is a sequel to another series, and it is called The Scorched Trials by James Dashner. It's a sci-fi book. It's kind of like, as my mom says, The Hunger Games, because she saw The Maze Runner. It isn't a because you're fighting to survive, but it's totally different. There's like no districts or ever. There's groups, but there's no districts. But it's like an experiment, which I guess the Hunger Games is too, but it's totally different. This book I was not too happy about for being a sequel. It was good, but it was not great. But like, from the ending of The Maze Runner, where they're in the rooms where they got rescued, they wake up in the room and there's nothing there. Everything's deserted, but once they go to the room that Teresa is in, Teresa's not in there. It's another guy from Group B that they don't know. When this guy comes, who's a part of Wicked, he tells them what's going to happen next for the next trial to survive for the experiment. And everybody's like pissed because they're like, we have to go through another thing again. And he said, this is the last trial, and you have to survive to get the cure because you all are infected with the flare. So he tells them what to do. They do it, and as they go through the tunnel and then come up to the city, like, they have to like fight people that have the flare because they've gone crazy, and cranks as they call them, and they meet people along the way and they get like separated along the way, and then there's these crazy storms with like lightning bolts shooting down at them trying to kill them, and then Thomas is detached telepathically from Teresa, so he can't communicate with her, and she's seeming a little bit off too. But she keeps saying, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, and he does. So he goes all through this stuff, and then he feels like Teresa betrayed him, which she did and didn't in a way, and then they get to the part where the safe haven is, and where they get the cure. And this whole thing happens with like more monsters, and then the Wicked rescues them and says that they're safe and gives them clothes, food, shower, and stuff. And then Tom falls asleep because he's exhausted. I would be too. And he wakes up in this room, like a padded room where he can't like hurt himself, and he's like in all white shirt, white pants, white socks, and he doesn't know where he is, and there's no one to just tell him where he is, so he just like sits down in the corner because he's like, this again? Okay, what's now? But Teresa, she talks to him telepathically, saying like, what's going on? I'm scared, I'm confused, and Tom is just like fed up with this, so he's like, leave me alone, don't talk to me anymore. And Teresa's like, I just have one more thing to say. Remember, wicked is good. And that's when it ends. The book was good, it wasn't great, but I think I gave it like a 3 stars. Not meaning that it wasn't good, because normally people think of 3 stars as like, oh, that's a low rating. But not necessarily. It was good, but it wasn't great, like I said. That's all I can say about it. But yeah, I liked it, and I gave it 3 stars. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. So yeah. And now, what you all been waiting for. The last book I read in January 2015 is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. It's probably my favorite contemporary young adult romance book I've read, and I think this is like my 3rd book of contemporary young adult romance I've read. But it is so good. It's so cute, funny, romantic, and aggravating at the same time, because you're like, why can't St. Clair and Anna just cut the bullshit and get together already? Like, it's so perfect. Like, the relationships with Meredith, Rashmi, and Josh, they're friends, and Anna and St. Clair, oh my god. It's perfect. It's about this girl who lives in Atlanta, in America, and her dad is a novel writer about very terrible book writing, as Anna says, and she can't really stand her dad sometimes because he's like so like cocky, I guess, in a way with himself. And her parents are separated, and she has a little brother named Shawnee, and he's a cute little guy. He plays with his action figures, Star Wars. But back to Anna, her dad ships her off to a boarding school called Soap in Paris. What's it called? It's School of America Paris, I think. Don't hold me to that. But she gets sent there for like an abroad to get culture in her or something. And there, her next door neighbor from her dorm is Meredith, her first friend she meets at the school. And she's nice, they get along well. And then she meets Rashmi and Josh, and then St. Clair the next day at breakfast. And he is such a flirt, St. Clair, but he is so cute. Oh my gosh. Like, he helps Anna with whatever she needs, and because she can't speak French yet, 'cause she just got there. She's American. And she's trying to speak French, and everything that she's trying to order in French for breakfast, and she just points to the menu. And she's like, that one please. Or says like a few French words she knows. And throughout the book, they're flirting and having fun, and then Anna finds out that St. Clair has a girlfriend. Named Ellie. And Anna's not too fond of that, but she's like, oh well, what can you do? So, during the whole thing, they're like, she gets kind of like aggravated about Ellie and St. Clair spending so much time together, because Ellie graduated like a year above them. So she's at a college. And it's like a little blocks away from where their school is. St. Clair always goes to visit her. And Anna's not really too fond of that, because she wants St. Clair, but she doesn't really realize it yet that she actually likes St. Clair more than a friend. The ending is so cute. I wish this book never ended with St. Clair and Anna's story. It's just perfect. I love this book so much. Oh my gosh. If you want a cute contemporary young adult romance book, I suggest Anna the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. It's good. I started this like, what was that, the 28th of January, and finished it the next day. I couldn't put it down because it was just so cute, and I'm like, So I highly recommend this book if you want to read it, or if you're thinking about reading and contemplating it or are not sure, read it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. And I ordered Lolo and the Boy Next Door and Isla and the Happily Ever After. It's a trilogy, but each book is on different people. So this is the end of Anna St. Clair's story, and the next one is Lola and another guy's story, and the next one, the last one, is Isla's story with a boy, and this just stops with their story, which is, oh my god. I just wish she could wrote a side novel or a side series to Anna St. Clair's story, but that's how it is. But I really love this book. It was probably my favorite book of January to read. Yeah, it's my favorite book that I've read in January besides The Fifth Wave and Scorched Trials. Yeah. So if I put it in order on how I liked it, I'd probably say Anna and the French Kiss, The Fifth Wave, Insurgent Allegiant, Scorched Trials, Heaven is for Real, and then 90 Minutes in Heaven. Yeah. That's how I put them order on good books to not so great. Stay tuned for more videos from me, and like and subscribe also to see more from me. Thanks for watching. Bye! The first book I read was, what is it? Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I almost said Stephanie Meyer. Wow.